Hey guys, welcome back to my channel on tutorials all things Excel, math, and business. Today, we're going to show you an example of how Bayes' theorem can actually make us some money. So, let's give the problem. We have a piece of land that has cobalt. The problem is we don't know if the cobalt's excellent, good, or bad, and depending on which type it is, will depend on how much we need to make. We have the option to just sell it, which is going to cost us $4 million. We could test it for $2 million. And we could also develop it. Now, there's three types of cobalt. It could be excellent, good, or bad. We know that if we choose to develop this land and the cobalt is excellent, we're going to profit $24 million. If it's good, we're going to profit $9 million. But if it's bad, we're going to lose $12 million. We also know that the probability that this cobalt is excellent is 25%, probability that it's good is 50%, and the probability that it's bad is 25%. E for excellent, G for good, B for bad. But if we choose to test it, remember, that money that we make from 24 million of excellent is going to be 22 because we had to pay $2 for the cost. The same thing for the good, it's going to be 7. As well as the bad is going to lose 14 million because we lose the 12 million and the additional 2, assuming that we decide to develop. Now, the report could be favorable, we'll call it P for promising, or not favorable, we'll call it NP for not promising. If we have a promising report, the value of this land will be 10 million. So if we choose to sell it, we'll get 10 million. Minus the $2 million cost, we'll get $8 million as opposed to the initial sell-off of $4 million. However, if it's not favorable, NP, the land is only going to be worth $1 million. Mind you, we spent $2 million on the test, so we're going to lose $1 million. So let's look at our decision tree. If you don't know what a decision tree is, feel free to refer to my previous video where I explain it and walk you through it. So here are our options. We can develop it, and again, if it's excellent, we make 24. If it's good, we make 9. If it's bad, we lose 12. And that expected calculation of 7.5 we did in our previous video. We could just sell it right now, make 4 million. Or we can test it. The test has two options, promising, not promising. After the test, if we have promising, we could sell it and now make 8 million. Or we can develop it. If it's not promising, we could sell it and lose $1 million, or we could develop it. The problem is, we know these probabilities at the top, this expected of excellent being 25%, good and bad. But these numbers here, even though I've already put them here, we don't know the probability of getting excellent if we have a promising test. We don't know the probability of getting good or bad with a promising test. We don't know the probability of getting excellent, good, or bad with a not promising test. We don't even know the probabilities of getting a promising or non-promising test. There's also one more thing we were given in this problem that I'll refer to now. Historically speaking, by the tests that have been run, 96% of the tests with promising results were when the source was excellent, 60% was when the source was good, and 24% was when the source was bad. So we don't know the probability of P, the probability of this favorable result, and we don't know the probability of NP, not favorable. But we do know probability of P given E, P given G, P given B, which were just stated as 96, 60, and 24. So we're going to need to use Bayes' theorem in order to calculate these probabilities. How do we do it? So let's start with our two options, the probability of getting this promising test and not promising. So the probability of getting a promising test, or P, is going to be equal to all the possible options. So we have a promising test. What are the options? The land could be excellent, good, and bad. So we need to calculate all these probabilities. So probability of P would be the probability of E, which would be the probability of P given E times E, plus the probability of P given G times G, plus the probability of P given B times B. Remember, that's Bayes' theorem. We need all the sample space. If there was a fourth option, let's say D, we would also have to add the probability of P given D times D. It has to be everything involved. Now, probability of P given E was given by 0.96 in the beginning, and so was the probability of E of 0.25. Probability of P given G was given by 0.6 in our chart up here, as well as the probability of G, which was 0.25, and probability of P given B and a probability of B were also given. So we multiply these and add them, we get 0.6. So we've calculated the probability of P. That's where we get the value up here, which would be for promising. Now, to calculate the probability of not favorable result, it would be the complement. The reason it's the complement is because the test can only be one of two things, favorable or non-favorable. And the total sample space in a probability has to sum to 1. So if we have a probability of P being 0.6, probability of NP would be 1 minus P. And we calculated the P to be 1.6, so 1 minus 0.6 is 0.4. So we know the probability of a favorable result is 0.6 and a not favorable is 0.4. Now, we also have to calculate the probabilities of the excellent, good, and bad options after we get either a promising or non-promising test. So let's start with the promising. So probability of E given P. We don't know that, but Bayes' theorem lets us calculate it because probability of E given P would be the probability of P given E times probability of E divided by the probability of P. If you guys don't know Bayes' theorem or are unsure of it, I also have a video on that you can go watch to refresh your memories. Following, probability of E given P. Now we know this probability of P given E and P of E because it was given to us, 0.96 times 0.25. The one that wasn't given to us was probability of P, which we just calculated to be 0.6, so all we have to do is this calculation, 0.96 times 0.25 divided by 0.6 is 0.4. To do the same for probability of G given P, we do the same thing, but now it's probability of P given G times probability of G, which we did, 0.6 times 0.5, divided by probability of P again, which we calculated 0.6, and we get 0.5. The probability of P given P is equal to probability of P given B times probability of B divided by P, which calculates to 0.24 times 0.25, again, which was given, divided by the 0.6, which calculated, which is 0.1. And to make sure that this adds up, we see 0.4 plus 0.5 plus 0.1 is 1, because these are all our possible options, and all the possible options in the sample space have to add to 1, because the probability of any event occurring in the subset is always going to add up to 1, because that's everything possible. And that's how we calculate these values. So we have the 0.4, the 0.5, the 0.1. So to do these calculations, we would have this 0.4 times 22, the 0.5 times 7, the 0.1 times 14. We sum them up to get our expected. In this case, if you do the calculation, you get 10.9. And we see that given a promising result, we could develop with an expected value of 10.9, or we could sell for 8. We'd rather make 10.9 million than 8, so we'll choose that one. When we do a not promising result, if we develop, we expect a negative 2.6 million, which again would be calculated from the probabilities. And a sell for negative 1, we'd rather lose 1 million than negative 2.6, so we'll choose that. And then the expected of promising 10.9 and negative 1, and we calculated these probabilities of promising that. We multiply and calculate expected of 6.4. And now we have our values for each option, value expected of test, expected of sell, and expected of develop, and we choose the best one. Now, remember, these calculations we did, probability of P and probability of NP, were for this part of the tree once we decide to do the test. But the probabilities below, probability of E given P, we only did the conditional that it's promising. So we only have the EGB under the condition that the test is promising. We don't have the EGB given it's not promising. How do we calculate it? Well, it would be the same thing, but instead of a probability of E given P, we would do the probability of E given NP, and we calculated NP to be 0.4. So again, that would be probability of P given NP times probability of E divided by probability of NP. And you would calculate the not promising results and probabilities that way. Because of this, we'd be able to see, do we stand to make more money from a test or not? And that's how Bayes' theorem can make us money, because if we have the option to sell for some money, and we use Bayes' theorem to calculate what we can get from buying someone, it could turn out that buying the person to do the research for us, and even with the cost of that person, we stand to make more money. We'll have, like for this example, we could have the sell after buying this test, 8 million. So we stand to make 4 million more selling after our test than just selling it, which is just one of the cases. So we can make more money because of this calculation. Or maybe in other cases, it's the opposite. Someone wants us to do a test, but because of Bayes' theorem, we realize their test really isn't worth that much. So it's just better to just go in it on your own and just sell the land or take a development instead of buying it. What is this value? This is called EVSI, and we'll explain this in another video. But this is one of the many ways in which Bayes' theorem can help us save money, make money, or make important financial decisions. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked it, please like, comment, subscribe, share it with a friend, and let's help as many people as I can. I'll see you guys in the next video.